talked about, but I do think this has to be said, and that is, I've seen a lot of folk talk about this is my dream school. We discussed this last year when there was a parent complaining about the cost of tuition at Hampton being so high, but I'm like, but you knew that going in. I'm going to say this, and if folk don't like it, we'll then deal with it. And that is this. The reality is, Howard may be your dream school. It's private. Spelman might be your dream school. It's private. Morehouse might be your dream school. It's private. I can name many other private HBCUs. Hampton, private. Those schools cost an incredible amount of money. And I would say to any student, and I said this to my nieces and nephews, you will go to the school that my money can afford to send you to.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Rooted with Aiysha, but also welcome to the Groundabout podcast. This is a podcast segment, and this is for education, still becoming, still growing. But before we get into everything, if you're familiar with me, I'm Aiysha Ansa. But if you're not familiar with me, I'm Aiysha Ansa, and welcome to the Groundabout podcast. I'm your host, and if you haven't planted roots with us yet, please go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, like, share, and comment, but also so that and share, so that way the YouTube multiverse knows that you find value in this channel. But also that also lets the algorithm know, aka YouTube multiverse. But also don't forget to listen to us on Spotify and subscribe to the Groundback podcast on Substack, because I'll be dropping exclusive podcast segments and episodes on that platform. And we're going to be ramping up more conversation. It's going to be full blown go, 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 no hard stop, because we have been coasting, we have been embracing, but it's time for us to really ramp things up because everything is ramping up. So my goal is to go into the direction of the skid, but also support my peers and others along the way. So for this education day, we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be our episode 7, it's going to be talking about fear of debt, failure, and starting over for Black students. So this is not a PSA. This is a personal experience, but this is also in light of everything that is happening with Ivy League, HBCUs, other colleges that may not be on those same levels, but also navigating the processes in the safest way possible for ourselves, for our mental health, and even for a lot of Black parents, especially who are involved in their children's education and they're feeling the pain that their children are feeling with, if it's grad plus loans. Start there. If you're a freshman, unless you're already a grandfathered in student that's already been using grad plus loans, you may have a higher chances of qualifying, but there's still no guarantees a lot of the times. And then there's also affordability. Schools, universities are going up, limited scholarships. Am I going to get a job once I have this degree? There's a lot of fear in getting debt, period. There's a lot of younger individuals period, who don't want to get a mortgage, who don't want to get any form of debt, to have a lot of debt to pay, especially if their dollars and cents aren't meeting the mediums aren't meeting. So there's a lot of doubt in what we decide to do as individuals. And sometimes that can also cause our foots to stumble and impact our ability to progress, to even advance, because we're so focused on limits and limitation. So that's precisely why my overall goal as an individual is how we can be able to balance it all and navigate what that looks like for each person. So when it comes to fear of debt, failure, and starting over for Black students, the overall theme is anxiety around educational decisions, but also navigating it as you're getting your education, because cost of living, education, tuition, books, if you're in person, your food, your room and board, your book materials. If you have a more advanced educational profession, it's going to cost more. Applying for scholarships, not getting them, trying to keep up your grades if you're working part time or work study is different navigations. So, the first discussion question, and I'm only going to give you three because it's a lot, it's a heavy subject matter, and I want to give you the freedom to discuss this is what is your biggest fear about going to school? I know for me, my biggest fear was if I was smart enough because I did not want to get debt. I got student loans. I have student loans, and I'm capping it at my MSW. I'm not going to go on for my PhD because I don't need that. I don't feel that I need it. If God tells me, sister, I want you to go and get it, then the provisions and scholarships and the fellowship and the money to pay for the entire thing will be there. But I don't, because where I am right now, it's manageable where I can pay my student loans monthly once I have to, when once I graduate and things start. So I don't want to go beyond that. Mm-hmm. And I'm graduating from Howard University. So, and I know that there's a lot about Howard University that's currently in the news, and there's a lot that's currently being said, and a lot of individuals are experiencing a lot of administrative setbacks, lack thereof of transparency, lack thereof of accountability, and lack thereof of I need my child to get into school and y'all aren't helping me. I get that. I feel that. And I'll get into another story time about that at a different time. But in a way, I also experienced the beautiful side of my Howard University experience and the teachers that I've had, the mentorship. Many of them were even references for me to be at the job where I am now, and many of them poured back into me professionally and encouraging me to continue to build on what I already have built on, encouraging me to network, helped me to build my networks. They helped me from the grassroots so that way as soon as I graduate, I'm not like looking and wondering. I feel hard prepared, but also prepared for the field of social work because the social work field is more than just defects. There's so many other ranges, and many individuals go on to become therapists. They go on to have their own private practices. They go on to do many things, but it also pushes me to really see myself in so many different avenues than just where I am right now. And it really encourages me to not limit myself. So I would say going to school eliminated a lot of those fears, especially even with my undergrad, because I graduated from Lynn University. I have my degree hung up in front of me. It actually gave me a lot. It was Lynn University is a PWI, but it's a international university where we talked about world civilizations. We talked about the arts, technology, other forms of topics where it wasn't just centralized on American history. So I felt as though I got a lot of support in that where it was a building block for me to graduate and transition into my undergrad and where I transitioned into my undergrad too. And also, I feel as though God gave me the support needed and the time that I started was different. The world in which who was in leadership was not in there when I started my education at Howard University. And it was a little bit more of that was the best time. Now it's a little harder. Like a lot of schools, but a lot of administrative failures are going on that's causing a lot of these setbacks and issues is very disheartening and hurtful to many individuals. And I can't imagine any parent experiencing this. And I can't even, but I know how it felt as a student. So I'll talk about it in another video. But I would say those are the biggest fears of many students is going to school, is being smart enough. Can I afford it? Can I afford this degree? And am I able to complete this degree? The support that I have, am I able to find a job once I graduate? And just the overall navigation of it once everything is all said and done. So it's many things, and sometimes it's the hardest part is to address the fears, because I would say that me addressing my personal fears helped me to make sound decisions that I felt comfortable with, that I can be like, okay, I can this decision, knowing good and well that this decision that I'm making, I feel safe to do it and I feel as if I could do it and I could make it. And I will honestly say that I would never question after this experience. I will never ever question my judgment ever again. I would say this experience really made me see that not only am I needed and not only has my personal experiences in life prepared me for what I'm doing now, but it really prepared me for aiming myself towards pushing myself and knowing that I could do it. Because sometimes when you have no one else in your corner pushing you, you got to be the one pushing you. Because there's been moments where I had to push myself and I had to really encourage myself, especially because you can't rely on others to encourage you. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but people have lives. So I never want to give that person or anyone that personal responsibility. Like a layer of my growth has evolved me and not putting myself in that place. And sometimes that can be through protective measures, sometimes that can be through your own traumas, or sometimes that can be through you just have to do what you got to do and you can't focus on other people. So there's different levels of fears that can prevent individuals from wanting to go to school. But I would say that where the fear can come from is our insecurities. And many of those same insecurities come from places, could be family, could be what we hear, it could be the status quo, it could be if you're a marginalized individual, feeling as if you don't matter or feeling as if you are not worthy of education. It can be many things. And also for many individuals, especially if you're from other countries, you come here on a student visa and there can be a fear of not able to finish your education because of what's happening with immigration or just the overall status quo of how you're going to be seen in the world and just the overall burden that it feels because some individuals are the first generation to ever go to college. So there's a lot of ownership, there's a lot of responsibility. So there's a lot of fears. And what does failure actually mean to you is another question. Is because failure could mean you decide that you want to go to another school and your parents feel as if that's a failure because they have this picture in their heads as to what they want you to do. And you can feel like a failure for not aligning with those goals. And sometimes failure could feel as if you're not making the grades that you feel as if you should be making. And you feel as if you're not smarter than the other kids in the room. And you're questioning why are you even going to college? So there's so many elements to failure. But this also goes back to what I talked about in my other podcast episodes in Body Wisdom and even with the Grounded by podcast is our perception. What do we see? How do we feel? How do we align with that goal and perspective? And oftentimes we really see ourselves as that person, and that element of fear sits with us like a marinade and it sticks to us like super glue. And it's so depleting and debilitating, and it really can make you feel as if there's nothing else left to do in this world. So I would say, what does fair or failure mean to us? That's a question that we need to ask for, answer for ourselves. And that's a question that we need to sit with because even in college or even in social media, if you're a streamer, content creator, TikToker, vlogger, YouTuber, there's going to be some failures. There's going to be some moments where your videos may not average enough views or where your watch hours may not be enough to meet the standard. There's going to be moments where you're questioning yourself or doubting yourself if you're even worthy of this role or if you should even be doing this. So I've had my moments where I question myself, am I wasting my time? But then I had to really realign myself with my purpose and realign myself with what I see for myself as far as goals or as far as what I see for purpose. And overall, I feel as though every opportunity, even if it's a failure, I feel as if every journey, even if I feel as if it doesn't make sense, is preparing me for what I need to do, but it's also preparing me for a bigger picture. And I ultimately would say that when it comes to, goals and when it comes to progressing and how we can even evolve, the most important thing is how do we see ourselves and how do we desire for the world to see us? And I honestly would say that we are literally living in a world and living in a space where we have to really ask ourselves questions. And sometimes those same questions be, it may leave us in a state of shock. Where we even may be wondering, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I honestly doing? I'm wasting my life away, or I'm not putting myself where I should. So, I would say all of this to say is that life doesn't always give us the cards that we feel as if that we deserve, or it doesn't, it deals the cards and we're just hopeful, hoping and praying we're able to, it deals the cards, but we're just hoping and praying that we're able to play and win the game. Sorry, that was my alarm. Multitasking at the same time. So I would honestly say that my overall goal for this YouTube channel is not just to create a platform where we can have real conversations, but also create a space where we can be free and also know that we can have the freedom to have real conversations and not feel restricted at the same time. And I will also be sharing more about my health. And it's a journey because we're all going through it together in real time. So, in piggybacking off of what failure means to us, the last question is, have we ever recovered from something you thought would break you? I recovered from thinking, if only I could be like this person, if only I could be in this room of people who have bright conversations, and sometimes you can have the imposter syndrome. This is all real. Sometimes we can feel as if we're crazy because we feel as if we wish we could be these people or think the way that they do. But eventually I realized that there's no one like me. So let me not copyright and infringe on something that is not for me. Let me just be my authentic self. And let me also walk in that light and the freedom of it all. And once I did that, it took a journey though. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, be you, be you. It took a journey. It took a journey. And it took me some time to really figure out who I was, and I feel as though every single day I'm revisiting that part of me, but I'm also going through the process of appreciating where I am right now because God knows why I am who I am right now and where my mindset is. Because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't be able to do certain things that I've been able to do at such a young age or have that mentality and thinking that I could do it. Because sometimes society, your own thoughts, your own peers, sometimes it could be your own family or your own siblings or your own whomever can make you feel as if there's a glass ceiling that you can't break through. But I'm telling you, that ceiling can be broke. It's our perspectives, it's our assumptions, it's our elements of thought. And this is not just talking about science, this is just our personal choices. And also, sometimes you got to cut people off. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you also have to tell your parents that although they have their own goals, you have a purpose that you want to fulfill. You also may want to take a gap year. You may want to decide, I want to go to community college. I want to test out the college experience before getting a whole bunch of student loans unless they're going to pay for you to go a full ride unless you're going to go all the way with it. But if that's not the case, then many of us have to get student loans. And in that case, then we have to address, can I commit to the full year? Can I commit to finish and waste money? Or let me just go to do a gap year, or let me just go to community college and then transfer out of community college to a university, but transfer those credits so that way you can break your degree in half and do half of the work and half the time. So there's different elements and ways to get your education. I talked about this on one of my previous videos about community colleges. So what I would honestly say is that we're living in a world where we're having to decide what works for us and what doesn't. But we're also living in a time where we have to really, you know, ask ourselves what we want. And that's why I included the clip from Roland Martin is the perspective that children or kids should go to the school that they could afford. Sometimes when you take that leap of faith and you know that even though the journey in getting there may be a little rough and you don't know how you're going to pay back these student loans and you work very hard, but you also use your gifts
And hey, if you have to get on YouTube and start doing videos, then document the struggle and monetize that if you can. There's different ways to still fulfill your dreams and meet your goals, get scholarships, or even if it's not at a Howard, or if it's not at a HBCU, it could be at it could be anything that you want to do. But as long as you're being purposeful and as long as you're doing what you love, that's important. So another hot seat question that I'm going to leave you with is are you avoiding education or avoiding uncertainty? I'll let you answer that question for yourself because no one can make you do something that you don't want to do. And even if they do, there's always going to be a reciprocity of you coming back to the same square one that you were meant to be. Or I wouldn't say meant to be, but the place that you were meant to start before you fully began the walk. So, and there's never, and sometimes you may feel as if it's a waste, like you wasted your time, but it's a part of your journey. You may not see it now, because I personally didn't see it when I was going through my crucibles, but I eventually saw it once I got on the other side of those struggles and hurdles. So I'll leave you with this is that education and fears and failures and debt, we're always going to have debt. Sometimes, even if it's not debt and we pay off our debt, there's always going to be something that we owe. It could be time, it could be space, it could be time that we owe to our parents or to ourselves or to our kids or to our spouses or to those that we love or to a plan that we didn't see through. So there's different forms of failures. There's different forms of debt. It could be spiritual debt, or it could be financial debt, mental debt. It can be so much debt, so much debt, so much debt. So I would honestly say that we are on a quest to growing together, but this journey and this platform is geared towards growth and healing. If you're starting here, and if this is where you are, then you've come home. If you are still on the journey, then you could still sit with us and talk and plant roots. So I just want you to know that this is not just for those who are ready on the journey. This is for those who are living and experiencing life. And even if you're not doing either yet, come on, let's just sit and talk. You can still sit at the table and have a seat. So I hope that you know that the support still exists, even for you, even in moments like this, and take whatever that resonates with you today and move gently with yourself, even beyond. And I'm your host, Aiysha and Sa. And until next time, I hope that this video was really impactful to you, but really addressed a lot of hurdles and a lot of issues that we're seeing in our world today, but a lot of hurdles that has been existing for many, many, many years. But we're just taking a moment to really smell them roses. Smell it. We're smelling them. So I'll see you all on another episode, and thank you all for so much for joining, and stay tuned to more videos and content. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, share, and also follow me on TikTok, Instagram, X, and also stay tuned to more Rooted in Shorts because I have some more shorts that are going to be posted. So that way I want to know if you disagree or agree. Do you disagree or do you agree with the analogy, the concept, and the thought process? Because we have a lot to agree on. Okay, so I'll see you all in another episode. And I can't wait to join you, and I can't wait to share with you more on what I'm doing health-wise. You all are going to be following me on my journey to getting healthy, but also staying healthy. A reset. Because when you're in grad school and when you're working, you can let yourself go a little bit. I mean, we still cute in the face, but we may be a little not extra, but maybe a little wide in the waist, but we just need to bring it in. Because my goal is to be healthy, especially going into my 30s. So I'll see you all on another video. Follow my journey, and we are going to be doing this process together. Go us. But you take care of yourself. Bye for now.